My name is Jarvis Barber, and for my project, I'll be going over first and second generational students, and is there a difference in their college experience? I chose this subject. I was mostly interested in finding out why students whose parents have gone to college feel more comfortable with the whole college experience thing. And with me being a first generational student, I never realized the type of opportunities and the resources that colleges have until like my junior year. Mind you, I'm a grad student now. So being a first generation student, I didn't realize what type of resources college had to whereas I always had to find stuff out on my own. So for this project, I plan on making a survey that targets college students that has a series of questions on their experiences in college, such as did they have knowledge prior before applying to college? This is one of the things that I'm going to literature review. A first generational student is defined as an individual whose parents who did not complete college or earn a bachelorate degree. First generation college students are not, well, some of the things I've found in my literature review is that first generation students are not on equal footing with their peers who are second generation students. And substantially, there has been different reports saying that students who are second generation tend to have a more successful college rate, and afterwards they have a more higher financial rate compared to those who are first generation. Some of the some of the things I have found from first generation students is that there have been research and research and results that first generation students may have more challenges in college or in a university compared to gen, compared to second generation students. And one of the challenges which I can relate to is not having the proper preparation or having a limited access to resources when when coming into college. And this could be things like knowing your teacher or knowing where things are on the campus or knowing what resources are there as tutoring or is it free or having taking those extra steps to really make sure I have a more successful college experience. Moving over to a second generational student. These are defined as an individual whose parents or guardian who have earned at least one bachelorette degree or has earned a higher form of education. A second generation student tend to have better knowledge about attending classes. This comes with the advantage of being a second generational student because they have that guidance from people who have been to college and have earned the degree to to relay the knowledge back down to say, hey, these are the right steps to take, or when you go to school, go to this place to get the best resources from here, or study like this, or take down your notes like this, just to overall enhance their college experience. And second generation students tend to have a better chance of getting into college or a university through what is called a legacy method. A legacy me- a legacy method is basically where their parent or guardian has gone to a school and has graduated from that school, and they are avid how say they are avid donors to the school. Now, with the legacy method, um, it is seen as a way for as it's seen as a way for alumni and institutions to have a strong relationship as the alumni are willing to make a generous donation or pay higher tuition costs to the institution if the child is enrolled. Now, research by the students fair admissions found that legacy students are accepted at a rate of nearly 34% from 2009 to 2015. It was more than 5 times, well, that is more than 5 times higher than the rate of non-legacies over the same period over time of just 5.9%. A research study from the National Healthy Minds from 2018 to 2021 made a result that first generational students tend to have a slightly lower level of completing college compared to second generational students, as first generations come in at 36.2% and second generations come in at around 37%. And first generation students tend to have slightly higher levels of depression, as they are coming in at 43.11%, and the second gen comes in at 40.4%. And their their anxiety levels seem to be higher as well, as the first gen comes in at 36.4%, and the second gen comes in at 34.1%. Into my project, I came up with a hypothesis that there would be no significant difference between the first generation and second generational students. And for my study, or for my project, I decided to go with a Likert scale. And a Likert scale is basically a psychometric scale that is commonly used in research questionnaires with the purpose of studying one's behavior towards a topic. And for my project, I decided to go with a I decided to go with a questionnaire, and I made it a little bit differently. So there are separate questionnaires for the for both generations. There are 22 total questions, but there are 12 questions that are specifically targeted towards the first generation of students. There are 11 targeted questions only for the second generation students. But I also I also added 4 questions that target both generations, meaning is questions that will be seen in both questionnaires. For uh, for the methods or the methodology for this project, um, I decided to go with a 2 by 4 non non repeated measure design that focuses on the first and second generation students, with my independent variable being just the general student status, or basically is if the participant is a first gen or a second generation student, and with a dependent variable being the answer responses, whether the participant agrees or disagrees uh with with the question. Started to actually write my questions that I was going to put down on my questionnaires. I had some empirical questions that I wanted to think about first. First off, being do first generation students really have different experiences when applying for college? I know me personally, I did not know I didn't know anything about a FAFSA or how to even apply for one. And with my project being, and with my participants or volunteers or my targeted group being students of Tiffin University, I wanted to know if the students here have a general knowledge about applying or enrolling into this university. And of course, I wanted to know if there were if there were second generational students here at Tevin. And going back to my previous slides about how first generational students feel pressure from college, I wanted to really incorporate this into my questionnaires. Is that really the case? Like, do first generation students have the same pressure that second generation students may feel, or is it just a one-sided thing? And finally, I wanted to see if ethnicity plays a role, because I have read in a literature review that those who come from a minority group are to less likely to go to college or complete college because of the lack of knowledge of what on how to really have a successful college experience compared to those who who are not of the minority group and have the experiences or the knowledge that they need to really be successful in college. I have provided for you some of the questions I have that are targeted for first generation students. One thing to note that all of these questions do have they have an agree and a disagree answer choice. So for here, as you can see, this is my questionnaire, my initial questions that are targeted for first generation students, or my questions that are targeted for second generation students. And again, compared to the first generational students, um, these questions will also have agree and disagree answer choices as well. My questions that are targeted for both first and second generational students. As you can see, these questions mostly entail with ethnicity, because I really wanted to get a good feel of the dynamic of my participants who choose to take the survey to see to see what is their ethnicity and to see if the research if the studies for 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 this topic is true that those with an ethnic background have a difficult time in college than 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 those who have an ethnic background who is not of a minority group. Some of the results I have found, I have gotten from my research. The first one that you see here is a ethnicity based background question. This is basically to see what the participant identify as. And I followed up this question with if because of their ethnicity, it would it be harder or easier to find or to have more resources to have a better college life experience. And I based this different off of off of different factors. Because on the second generational side, as you can see, the key word that I used there was it'll be easier. Because what I found in different literature reviews is that second generation students have an easier time finding more resources or grants or scholarships like that to help themselves have a better college life experience. Whereas for first generational students, they have a more harder time on finding grants and scholarships or things like that to help them with their college experience. And the result I got back from this was crazy enough, they were both even, like same results across the board. 75% of the participants disagreed, while 25% um, agreed. This data really entailed that there was no significant difference in ethnicities amongst both amongst both generations and colleges. in college success. So the next result I have found in my research deals with the pressures of being a college student. For my question, I asked both of the participants if they feel any type of pressure to obtain a college degree, but not just for themselves, but for their family. And the results I've gotten back from this was a significant difference. As on the second generational side, as you can see, it was split. It was a 50-50. Whereas on the first generation, 90 oh, over 90 over 90%, so about 93% of participants disagreed that they felt pressure to obtain a college degree. And the data I've gotten back from this really showed you that there is a significant difference between first and generation students. As first generation students don't feel any kind of pressure to obtain a college degree, regardless of their parental or guardian educational background, which is crazy enough because, as I've mentioned in my earlier slides, first generation students have higher anxiety levels, they have higher stress levels, they have higher, you know, any type of emotional trait. Um, First generation students had were higher than second generations, and going, and coming from the data that I've got here, it completely disproves that. The next result I have gotten from my project deals with both generations actively seeking out help or guidance to help them with their college experience. As you can see here, from the second generation, well, for both generations, I asked the same question, saying if the participant has actively seeked out opportunities or seeked out guidance from other people who share their same educational background, or whether if that person is a first generation student or a second generational student. And the results I've gotten back from this is that for the second generational side, there was a more a more significant a difference compared to the first generation. So the data from here really entails that there is a difference between first and second generational students, as second generational students are more likely to seek out information or guidance from those who have already completed college or those who may be a second generation student, and as well as learn what methods work, whereas what study habits work, or what study groups can be a part of, just making sure that they have the most beneficial college experience they need to graduate and get their degree. So, an overview over my project. Um, as I've mentioned in my earlier slide, I had an initial hypothesis that there was no significant differences be, between first generational and second generational students. Well, after concluding my research, my initial hypothesis was proven wrong, and there were some differences be, uh, between the both generations. And what else I found from this project was that ethnic backgrounds did not make a difference, and student pressure was different amongst generations, as some felt pressure of trying to obtain their college degree, while some did not feel any type of pressure at all, even though they have no prior college experience, like going into college. And the ability to take action and seek guidance and having a successful college experience was a different was a different it was a different response, as the project did show that there were some students who did take that initiative, go out and try to connect with other people who are same in the same educational background as them, to try to find new ways or new tips to really help them be successful, to make sure that they actually pass their classes and receive good enough grades to fully graduate from college. And this final slide just goes over my full references that I found during my whole literature review and during my whole project. But I hope this presentation was informative, and I thank you for your time.